Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. How is everyone this morning or evening if you're in Australia or any place other in the southern and far western or eastern hemisphere?
I don't think you went live.
Oh, I'm
I should
live.
see scheduled at the top.
Oh, it says 20 seconds and going.
All right. Okay.
That's weird, but yeah, it's going. But yeah, so happy or good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Hope it's happy. We are doing a mystery review, and I decided that I wanted to poll the audience and see, should I bring on guests for these reviews? And, well, the first poll that ended itself, thanks for that, YouTube. Well, 4 of you, the only 4 that voted, all said yes. So I decided to bring Mara Jade onto this one because she also loves the movie that we are reviewing. And the hints were Ron Jeremy, and Irish. For those of you who know, Ron Jeremy is basically the Mario of the porn industry. He also has only been in 3 movies in Hollywood. And the Irish basically would give it away dead if you know the movie. So, yes, a few people have guessed it. We are reviewing, indeed, Boondock Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Happy day to you, Dinah, or happy Dino. Good to see you. So, Boondock Saints is an independent film that did not get a theatrical release in, I believe it was 99 that it was made, and 2000 that it was officially released. So, the reason why it didn't get a theatrical release was it was planned to be released on the heels, or it just so happened that Columbine and Jonesboro, Arkansas shootings happened, the school shootings. So these movies could not be, or they're like, we cannot in good conscience release this movie in theaters. Sorry. So many theaters basically gave we are not putting this in right now, not after what just happened. And Troy Duffy had to go purely with a DVD release. And then there was also pirated releases. And believe me, when I first saw this movie, I'm like, Boondock Saints, it just sounds so cheesy. Then my brother pops it in and I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, I know that guy. That's Willem Dafoe. He was a Green Goblin. Norman Reedus, I think I've seen him in one movie or another. I can't remember exactly which.
He wasn't that big. He wasn't that big.
At the time, yeah.
Well, not just at the time, but even up until Walking Dead, he would appear in movies like other movie that I remember seeing him at least have a prominent role in was Blade 2. So it's not like he was exactly a leading actor until he finally broke out and became a name with Walking Dead.
Yeah. And everybody absolutely loves this character in Walking Dead. I honestly, folks, I have not watched The Walking Dead, so I've seen a couple episodes here and there with Negan bashing a dude so hard in the head, one of his eyes started coming out. But yeah, anyway. So if you think that's, hey, just saw it, Mara, how are you too? Hey, chat, good to see you, TD. Awesome that you're stopping in. So, yep, we're doing Boondock Saints.
Yeah, Sean Patrick Flannery. I knew him from Young Indiana Jones. So, and I had a major crush on him when this movie came out. So,
this movie has a great cast, believe it or not. And, I mean, Billy Connolly is a freaking comedy legend. So, him playing Il Duce in this I'm like...
It's like brilliant casting all around, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the people who play the cops... can't remember the real names, but one of them is also a comedian, and they are just all perfect. Now, we are only going to be reviewing the first one, folks, the theatrical and unrated. So, because honestly, I didn't really see much of a difference between the two.
Actually, I think I ended up watching the unrated because when I watched it on Amazon, it doesn't say it.
Yeah,
and then I watched it on Movies Anywhere, and I'm like, this is the same. Okay, so
yeah, it is an unrated film.
Yeah,
because of the graphic nature of it. I mean, this movie at the time did have the biggest tit shot in the world. I watched this movie with the audio. I watch movies with audio commentary and whatnot, and oh my god, Troy Duffy was freaking hilarious when he's like, "Imagine us watching this in a theater and just having the biggest freaking monster tit ever."
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into the story of how this movie goes down. I mean, the beginning of this movie has a very beautiful a helicopter shot around the cathedral in Boston. This movie does take place in South Boston. It's an establishing shot of it's run down. This is late 90s. And yeah, Boston had seen better days back then. And into the church for the worship, and the narration is this old man. You have no idea who this guy is until literally the end of the film.
Yes.
But you see the brothers, you see this little girl looking over at him, and then you hear him recite something from the book of Genesis. When I raise my flashing sword and my hand takes hold on judgment, I will take vengeance upon my enemies, and I will repay those who haze me. O Lord, raise me to thy right hand and count me among thy saints. Every prayer that he recites in this movie holds perfectly to the position of what scene it is in. And it also establishes what this movie or this scene, well, obviously they're at a church, but they're not about to go killing anybody. This is before that. But what did you think of this scene when they go up and the guest speaker is like, what the heck? And they sit him down, explain it to him. So you know that this is
they've done it before. It's like without exposition, you can read between the lines. It's like, oh, like the brother, like they're used to the brothers doing this. So we kind of like let them go, things like that. We let them like do what it is they need to do as part of the prayer. Because I think that at this point, the main priest, I'm not sure exactly how, because I'm not Catholic, so I'm not sure exactly how this dude, Monsignor, is starting his sermon. So it's like, as like someone who's like grew up in a Lutheran church, it's like, you know, rather similar. It's not something you do during the sermon. You're supposed to sit and listen. But
these brothers are on time constraint.
Yeah, like I said, it's like, you know, it's the brothers must have done this before. Oh yeah. The one priest is like, you know, it's like, yeah, like just let them go.
Yep. And I got to say that is one of the biggest. The wooden crucifix that they built for that movie. I think it was built for the movie, but I can't say for sure. It was the biggest crucifix I've ever seen. And then,
and I love the Kitty Genovese story. Not story, but you know, basically it's part of the sermon, like what actually happened to her. Because, like you said, with the prayers, it ties into the plots. Like there's like so many details if you actually pay attention to the dialogue. They did not skip over anything. So everything like that's in the movie makes sense to it being in the movie. So the tale about Kitty and her cries for help and no one coming to help her, no one bothering to call the police, it's like a foreshadowing to calling the brothers believe they have later on to basically take on the corruption head on by killing the bad guys.
And the murder of Kitty Genovese is actually a real thing that happened March 13th, 1964. Which
broad daylight stabbing. People saw it, and it was like one of those news stories that we would discuss in like my psychology courses, because there's this mentality in people where it's like syndrome, like or something like like someone else will like call. It's like I should call, but I'm pretty sure someone else is doing it. Yeah. No one called the police.
Not a damn one. People are like 39 or 37 or 39 witnesses either heard or saw. No one called the police.
Yeah, and the guy even came back.
Oh yeah.
So it's a horrific story. If you like don't know about it in the chat, if you want to look it up, Kitty Genovese.
Yeah, and so this also, or he goes over this, the Monsignor, and he doesn't even, or one of the things I did like about it, he doesn't even break stride in his sermon while the brothers go up around him and then go right back around him to walk out.
Mm-hmm.
And he does say, there's one, or now we should all feel or fear evil men, but there is one evil that we should fear most, and that is the indifference of good men.
Yeah.
And then the brothers leave, and they're like, I do believe the Monsignor has, or finally has the point.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, I love that.
And then the greatest tune ever.
Yeah.
My phone tune for phone calls, The Blood of Cuchulainn, plays, and it is just beautiful scene after beautiful scene. It sets up the brothers, who they are, where they work.
There's actually there's actually extended scenes for this movie, and if you want, I can bring up the meatpacking one, and you can see how there's no fucking way they would ever get away with this.
Not in today, no. So yeah, if you want to bring it up, oh my god.
Yep.
Basically, folks, they're working in a meatpacking plant, and there's the first shot where Connor comes in, and everybody's just looking at him while his brother's hiding to the side, and he just smacks him in the face with a freaking raw steak.
Yeah.
So they fight each other, and he wrestles his brother down, grabs a cow tongue, and starts beating him with it.
Yeah.
Who's the master?
Yeah, I know.
And then we get the introduction, well, the small introduction to a character that the brothers basically have to train in this meat packing plant. Yeah. Rosengirdle Bumgardner. So if Mara once Mara brings that up, oh my god, folks, they cut it down in the movie, or basically just the needed bits. But you basically understand who this woman is, what she's all about, even though it's only a couple of scenes in the movie. Because a couple of the scenes in the movie, they're going over the rule of thumb, and she flips. Modern day feminists will flip if they know any sort of history or when it comes to the rule of thumb. And for those of you who don't, early 1900s, it was legal for men to beat their wives as long as they used a stick no wider than their thumb. So here we go. We're gonna play this a little bit. Oh my god, it is gonna be so hilarious.
Like this, like basically, like just to get a gauge of what this woman is like. I'll mute myself in case there's an echo. And this is the best quality I could find on YouTube.
Yeah. All right.
This is Rosengirdle Bumgartner. Yeah, right. You're going to be training her today, so do a good job.
Aye. As pleased to meet you then, Rosie.
I prefer to be called Rosengirdle by men.
Well, of course you do, then. Well, let's get you kissed out.
Christ. That's the largest one I've ever seen.
I'll tell you, it's self-imposed affirmative action. If we hire big, fat, angry lesbians, then the leftist groups representing big, fat, angry lesbians won't think we're violating their rights.
Well, how politically correct you are. It's good stuff.
Well, you don't know the half it. These people can shut you down. They'll sue you into the ground, claiming they're put under duress, mental pain, inner suffering, shite like that. Yeah.
Well, as long as we're hiring fat lesbians, why don't you give your ma a call?
Go fuck yourself, Murphy.
Right, what you want to do is you want to cut off as much fat as you can. And basically, the rule of thumb here is...
Rule of thumb?
Rule of thumb, yeah.
Do you know where that term comes from?
I've got no idea.
In the early 1900s, it was legal for a man to beat his wife, as long as he used a stick no wider than his thumb.
You can't do much damage with that, then, can we? Perhaps it should have been a rule of wrist. Get you a nice little club to rule of wrist there, Rosie. Say, Murph. Aye. How many lesbians does it take to screw on a light bulb? Well, it takes two then, doesn't it? One to actually screw on the light bulb, and another wee little lesbian to suck my fucking cock. Will I supervise?
You know, I knew you pricks would give me problems. Give me shit because I'm a woman. Well, I'm not going to take your male dominance bullshit.
Relax. She's trying to get the rise out of you. That's all.
Time to break the ice.
Now, fuck you. And fuck you, too.
Come on, it's St. Patty's Day. It's all in good fun.
Oh, does Baumgartner sound Irish to you, fuck face?
Baumgartner, relax. All right, now just calm. Rosie, perhaps you should save all that aggression for protest and then march. Fuck you!
You two fucking slaves. Kowtow to the needs of men. Get up, get the fuck up and leave him there.
Shit.
Well,
Yeah, I sincerely hope we don't get pulled for that. But yes, folks, this basically sets the tone that these brothers will not handle bullshit thrown their way, especially if it is put on one of them. The other will step up. They're twins, in fact, in this movie.
Yeah, they're fraternal twins.
Yep. And so after that, they're basically walking through the rest, playing to the song Bloody Good Callin', and they get into their home. And there's another deleted scene. We don't want, or that one we won't play, but I will go over it.
Yeah.
It's Mom Calls from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do not want to risk a strike or anything, or copyright or any of that stuff. I've actually been very good at that. But yes, Mom Calls from Ireland, and she's drunk as hell because it's St. Patty's Day, and especially over in Ireland. She's already heavily into it. You just aren't living until you get copy claim.
Yeah,
I mean, get that.
As long as it's a strike, a claim,
yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah. And this bitch realistically just got or lost her job. Well, yeah, she assaulted a coworker.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. But the thing is, that dude basically had it right back then, today, because people can shut you down nowadays if they complain too fucking loudly because of all the old political correctness bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie is basically unapologetically non-politically correct.
Yeah. Even the
I
second
love it.
one is as well. But yeah, like this one primarily is.
Yeah. And so Mom Calls from Ireland, and while Connor's, hold on, my phone just, there we go. Yeah. Anyway, phone off. So she's a heavy few in. Murph is talking to his, or no, it's Connor who's icing his nuts while he's talking to his mom, and Murph is about to take a shower, and she is basically making it sound like she's ready to kill herself. And they start freaking out, and she takes her husband's army revolver. I found your father's army revolver, Connor. I got it to my head right now. And she points it at her friend's head instead. And her friend just nonchalantly pushes it away from her head. And then she goes outside to do it, and it cuts to her friend plugging her ears. And then she fires off the shot in the air. And the brothers are freaking out, thinking that their mom just called them for a suicide over phone. Folks,
this mom, yeah, is not going to win necessarily Mom of the Year with that. But
no, she wouldn't. She came in holding her mouth shut. I mean, this is the same woman, I believe, that played in Goonies.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. And so she's laughing her head off. Oh, Christ, Ma, no. Oh, she's mocking the hell out. That's a good one, Ma. And then she's like, so what are you boys up to? And they talk about the whole angry lesbian and whatnot. And or he's like, and so he's like, well, I was just trying to be nice, and she gave me a shot to the nuts. Oh, that bitch. Well, I hope you gave her a trouncing. He's like, don't worry, Ma. I respected the hell out of her for you. So then she's talking about how they have basically ruined her girlish figure in one fell swoop, talking about how her tits got all saggy. This is Irish for you, folks. This is as Irish as it gets. And then she's like, oh, shit. I think I upset a few of the neighbors are coming over with that shot. So you boys, you get me? No fighting. Right, Ma? Oh, before you go, Ma, give us the goods. Who's came out first?
Yeah, who was born first? Yeah.
Yeah, who's basically
or who's the oldest?
First?
Yeah, older one. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, you guys are still on about that, are you? Yeah, I think it's time we finally. All right, are you ready? And then she takes a huge swig of whisk, the one with the bigger cock.
Yeah.
And then she just hangs up on it. And they're like, what the fuck? And then friggin' Murph is checking out his brother, looking like, he's like, oh, don't even fucking start. I had ice on mine.
Yeah, I know. I love that. Just like
the deleted scenes are so freaking great in this movie.
Yeah, so it's like you could tell that it's not so much like they were taken out because they didn't like make any sense to the plot. They were just most like probably like taken out for time, really.
Yeah, time constraints. Now, speaking of, I only got an hour and 10 left before because I actually do got to go at noon. So yes, we get to McGinty's bar where you're introduced to David Delarocco, and that's actually his real name in real life.
It's one of the situations where it's like, well, your real name is so perfect for this movie. We're just going to keep it.
Yeah, Rocco, right? And so the guy that plays Doc McGinty is the same guy that was from Fraggle Rock, folks. Yes. And he's a freaking legend.
Yeah, and he has like Tourette's or something. So he
has Tourette's.
Like whenever like the Tourette's comes on, he says "fuck ass."
Yep, and that's why they call him "fuck ass."
Yes.
And so he's like, I gotta close or I'm gonna have to shut down the bar. The Russians are buying up buildings all over the place, including this one. Fuck ass. And they're not letting me renew my lease. And he's like, well, maybe I could talk to. Rocco's like, maybe I could talk to my boss. Maybe he could do. What the fuck is your boss gonna do? No, you guys keep your mouth shut, because I don't want anybody to know. And you know what they say. People in glass houses sink ships.
Like he screws up Proverbs left and right. That's like part of his character as well. Like Rocco's like, I gotta buy a book on Proverbs because this mix and match.
This mix and match shit's gotta go. A penny saved is worth two in the bush in it. And don't cross the street if you can't get out of the kitchen.
So they're like making fun of him, but it's like all in good fun.
It is all in good fun. Then the Russians come in and they tell everybody to go. Now, Troy Duffy is actually in that scene. The director is actually in that scene. He's the one in the, overalls and whatnot. So Chekhov, or Ivan Chekhov, the Russian. Now, I like how they type in all the mafia people. They just type in their name, basically who they are. And for most of the major characters, they just put that up for you to let you know who they are. And they tell everybody to get out except for Doc. And so they're like, then the Russian doesn't want to put up with any of it. And he's like, if you won't go, we will make you go. And then they just black out there. Next day, there's a crime scene. This movie has such a wonderful way of going back and forth between these scenes.
It's not linear storytelling, but that's
not at all
work, because it's one of those where it's like it like stops right before the event happens, and then you have the cops trying to figure out what that event is, and then it's like kind of a flashback / storytelling. Here's what happened, and that's how it works with this the Boondock Saints plot.
Yeah. And we're introduced in this scene to 3 detectives in the alley, Dolly, Duffy, and Greenlee. And Greenlee's the one going over the theory. So these two are beating the shit out of each other, right? And while he's going over all this stuff, you see Willem a car walking up. They go over who he is, Agent Paul Smecker, FBI. I believe it's Organized Crime Unit.
Yeah.
And he stops the chief because the chief is actually about to stop Greenlee from being an idiot. He's like, no, let him go. And he's talking about a serial crusher theory and a huge guy theory and all this shit. He's like, I think it got something big here. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So we got a huge guy theory and a serial crusher theory. Top notch. What's your name? Detective Greenlee, who the fuck are you? And he just shows him, that's who the fuck I am.
Yeah, like, oh shit.
It's like, dude, yeah, you don't. Anybody who is in law enforcement or has friends in law enforcement or family in law enforcement, you don't make fun of feds. You don't fuck with feds.
No, it's like cops have a limited jurisdiction. Feds have like all the jurisdiction. So if you piss off a Fed,
yeah, they can pretty much fuck you over.
Yeah,
he does too. Because when the chief is like, these guys have ties with the Russian mob, and Agent Smecker here. I love that name, Smecker.
Yeah,
Smecker. It's like Smecker Pecker. But anyway, he's like, he's going to be taking the lead on this with our full cooperation. Why don't you get me a cup of coffee? What the fuck is this? Cafe latte. Chief, what the fuck? Twist the lemon. Chief, what the fuck is this?
Sweet and low.
He just runs him off.
It's like, that's your cue to leave.
It's like, yeah. And the chief is looking at him like, get your ass going, like right now, and double time it.
Yeah.
So he also, while this is happening, he just hands his jacket over to Duffy. And Duffy's looking at him like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
So when he goes through the scene, he's listening to opera.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking at all the different things, keeps on looking up, and the detectives are like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So after he goes through the whole scene, he's like, okay, you all ready for this? I need ballistics down here to fight or to get a 50 caliber out of a brick wall and one that's been fired through a dumpster. And he's like, this was no gangland assassination. While creative, this is personal written all over. Something went wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
And also, and then he has the cops talking about, or he's like, check these buildings, see if there's anybody who has any water leakage problems. And then he's like, okay, I can't find the other shelf, sir. Look under the body. Oh, there it is. Okay, and then so they get up into the loft because they find out that one of the women called in and was asking or was complaining about water dropping down. Also, a line that I did forget. They're like, nobody reporting any gunshots. This is an Irish neighborhood. I'm surprised you got a call at all.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, folks, in certain neighborhoods, Irish and others, Boston, and even in New York City, certain crimes happen. You won't get a call. A lot of these people like to handle the shit themselves or just leave it alone.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I like when they get up to like figure out like where the water is coming from, based on the floor the woman lives on who's complaining, and Smecker's. They come to the brothers' room. You don't see the room.
Mm-hmm.
You just see them in the pool.
Yes, kissing with you.
And they just thumbs back at Greenlee, and I'm like, like every scene with like Willem Dafoe, like he loved every
always ripping on character. Yeah. He's always ripping on him. So then where it goes back to the brothers are at a hospital, and he also found out that when they got down there, but also before they were in the elevator, he's like, it's a theory. You know how big somebody would have to be to do that? Fucking huge. Oh, really? I might just want a bagel with my coffee. I ain't getting no fucking bagel.
Yeah.
So then the brothers are in a little hospital area, and Doc comes in because one of the cops led Doc to McGinty's, a bar around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, chances are they were there last night. And so he goes, he's like, an FBI agent came across the bar and he gave me his cop. He gave me he fucking gave me this. I just love it. He's like, oh, he fucking gave me this. Fuck! Yes. 3 nuns looking at him like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Going to turn ourselves in. Say it was self-defense. Yeah, that's what he said. How the fuck would you know that? We haven't even told anyone anything.
Yeah.
So then they go and turn themselves in, and Smecker is basically telling people, giving the profile and the general consensus that the boys are angels and whatnot. And Greenlee has to make a fool or an ass of him again. And as the boys are literally limping up the stairs, Greenlee's like, they're miles away from now. Anything with a badge or light's going to scare them. You might as well, but if you want to beat your head against the wall, just grab a potato, drag it through South Boston. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
That actually became one of his closing lines in his acts from there on, folks, because he is also a comedian. So as he's saying that, the brother is like, you probably have better luck with beer. Hey, you would. Hey,
Yeah.
Greenlee, onion bagel, cream cheese. So then you get an idea of what happens, because Smecker's interviewing the boys and they talk in like 6 different languages. You got Gaelic, Italian, German, Spanish,
French.
something else. French, yep.
I think that was it. That was it.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 different languages.
Yeah.
And
Russian, they also know Russian, but that will
Russian.
When it reveals the name of that language as well.
Yeah, because they go back to the scene, continuing right where they dropped right where Yvonne tells them, we'll make you. And he's like, look, we're trying to be civil here. If you don't, or if you want to fight, you can see it, we're outnumbered. So I suggest you take our offers. I make the offers. And so Rocco sets up his character. Yo, Boris, what if I told you, or what would you do if I told you your pinko commie mother sucked so much dick, her face looked like an egg?
Yes.
And he gets punched out for that. And so then the boys beat the hell out of the Russians. They his brother stops the others from going to his other brother's aid. Connor stops the others from going to Murphy's aid, because Murphy, he's like, let him go. He can take care of himself. And Murphy they use slow motion so great in this movie in certain areas, where he just takes 2 champagne balls and just smashes the dude's head with both. And then they tie up the main Russian, Yvonne, up to the bar and light his ass on fire. Not his whole body, his ass, his literal ass.
Yeah.
And so the next morning, the Russians come back and cuff Connor to the toilet and are pulling Murphy out into the alley. And he's like, I came here to fucking kill you, but I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to kill your brother. Shoot him in the head, And this is how you understand how much these brothers love each other, because Connor is literally pulling his cuffs so hard out from the toilet that he's cutting into his wrists. If this doesn't tell you how much these two love each other as brothers, you're honestly missing that, folks. So then he gets up on the roof, drops the toilet on the Russian, or on the Russian whose ass caught on fire, and he jumps down off the roof onto the other guy, killing him, injuring him severely. And they say that the first bullet there is a couple of errors in this movie. This movie is by far from perfect, folks. This is not award worthy in the least, but they do have a few errors here and there. And one is when the toilet hits the guy, his arm goes almost full back, so it's not even pointing at the dumpster. So he shoots back instead of the dumpster, but it's a tiny little goof that doesn't really take away anything, but it is worth noting for reviews and whatnot. So then Murph gets up because his brother is literally unconscious from, jumping off a roof onto a guy. And so he drags him and he's like, what do we tell him about the guns and the money? We just got up and left. A bum must have rolled him while we were gone. And they said that in Gaelic, and then they were talking about him in the different languages.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think he put all this together without us or anyone saying anything? I don't know. Or maybe somebody saw him, must have thought, no, this is a 100% Irish neighborhood. Nobody talks to cops ever, period. Then he just must be very, very good.
Yeah.
And I love the next question. What are you two doing working in a freaking meatpacking plant? That actually shuts them up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. So then they get, it's clear-cut self-defense. The statement is, or they're giving their statement. Rocco gives them their their necklaces, the prayer bead ones with the crosses. And that night they get their calling.
Clothes, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. they get their calling, and you get another little bit of Il Duce's narration. Whoever sheds man's blood, or whoever sheds man's blood, by a man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God may deem a man.
Mm-hmm.
And then they recite, destroy that which is evil, so that which is good may flourish. And then they go, or they fade and go right back to him, getting up out of the bed, and they're looking at each other like, we did just have that same thing happen, right? We know what we're going to do. And so the Russians' pager is still on them, so they find out that there's another Russian coming in, and they turn in the guns and the money from the Russians to this Irish weapons dealer.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, we also get a more establishment of Rocco's character with Ron Jeremy, Vincenzo, and how he's like, give it here, package boy. Joey People told me to bring it in, so it said it was very important. He's delivering a sandwich to his boss. And then he has to tell him the joke that can never be told on here or ever, folks. Let's just put it this way. It is one of the most racist jokes, but also funniest jokes you'll ever freaking hear. You just got to watch the movie. I'm not telling it on here.
There's
a way to tell it, but we're not.
There's a way to tell it, but the way it's told in the movie, it uses the slurs for certain demographics, and it's like I said, even with the meat packing, the extended meat packing, there's no way they could do this movie
exactly. Now. This movie, like I said, folks, if this movie was done today, there would be so much blood and brains freaking all over the place because so many liberal heads exploded.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that way it is. Or so many activists and SJW heads exploded. But anyway, so he also does, he's like, I love how, or I saw you, or I caught your act at the Velvet Room. I loved it when you busted into Viva Las Vegas. and he goes to punch him, and he's like, hey, and he's like, so then his boss stops him by yelling that he's going to kill a dude over the phone. He's like, you're not supposed to tell anybody you can kill him anymore. It's taking the fun out of the job.
It's like the 90s.
It's the 90s, man. And so he tells him,
I'm having a really shitty day. Tell me a joke. Yeah. It's like,
and so he tells him joke, but then he has to stop because nobody's really getting the punch. And he's like, this joke continue the joke. So then he just deadpans it, and they laugh their asses off. And he's like, tell me one more. What?
I love the look on his face. Like, what?
Yeah, I know. And basically, this is how he got his big break, because when they do the Russian scene, but before the Russian scene, they have the armament scene. And I love the mural in that room, in the weapons room.
Mm-hmm.
While the wicked stand confounded, call me with thy saints surrounded, which is a line that's in the second movie, which Il Duce narrates. So he's like, you know what we need? Some rope. What the? All right, are you insane?
Charlie Bronson always has rope.
Yeah, Charlie Bronson's always got rope. Hey, one thing you're gonna need a rope for, you don't know what the fuck you're gonna need it for. You just fucking need it. And then he's like, and while he's saying that to his brother looks back just to make sure he doesn't get caught and puts a freaking Rambo knife in his back.
Yeah, but then Connor calls him out on it. It's like, isn't that right, Rambo? And he pulls the knife.
He's like, all right, get your stupid fucking rope. He's like, I'll get my stupid rope. I'll get this rope right here. And folks, this is no shit. They go in and they do the fade so that the investigation can happen. And I love, this is the perfect establishment for Paul Smecker. There was a part in the alleyway where he puts his hand on one of the cops, and you see you see Duffy nudge Dolly, and they're like, yeah, we caught that. He's gay. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's a gay FBI agent. And he's answering the phone while this gay dude, or while his bedfellow's cuddling up to him, and he smacks him in the back of the head. And so he cuddles up. He smacks him in the face. He's like, all right, keep the press out and I'll be right. What are you doing? I just wanted to cuddle. Cuddle? What a F. 3 letters, starts with an F, ends with a G. And I can't say it on here. the wounded look on that kid's face.
Yeah.
You still there, Mary? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's like, oh my God. How many bodies, Greenlee? 8. Oh man, I forgot about that one. 9. 9? Wow,
Yeah, well,
Greenlee's
Greenlee
out getting coffee. Anybody else want anything? Shit. And it's a freaking slaughterhouse, dude.
I feel sorry for Greenlee, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you bring it on yourself sometimes.
Yeah, and there is another deleted scene where Greenlee actually calls out. He's like, "Why are you always busting my chop?" Greenlee, one thing you gotta learn: respect is never given; it is earned. It's simple, but it works.
Yeah.
He's basically telling him, "You established yourself to be a total asshole. You haven't earned the respect yet." You know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, they're going over the scene where 9 Russians have just been killed by, I don't know, or who knows. And I love it. The symbolic, or yeah, they're going back and forth, and he's like, they're going over the forensics of the head guy. He's like, fuck all these other guys. This was their main target, the fag man. The what man?
Yeah, the fat man. Like he corrects
the fat man.
Freud was right.
Yeah. So you're telling me they came for the fag man, huh? And what do you base this on? He was the only one done right. Double tap, back of the head, and the pennies. New shooter wants to leave his mark. It's a possibility, but maybe they were placed with religious intent. And they go over the different cultures that use coins on the eyes of the dead.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the symbology there? Symbology. He just goes on. He's like, what is the symbolism there? And then he gives them the symbolism of Quran paying or the dead paying a toll to Quran, the boatman who ferries you across the gates of judgment. This is so people can pay for the sins that they've committed in life.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, Detective Alla Papascalius. Jesus, you're the first one to ever get that. He's talking about his tie, folks. For those of you who don't know, Alla Papascalius is a tie, either brand or style. But anyway, he's like, well, that's because I'm an expert in nameology. And he's like, he laughs about it, and then he's like,
oh, like, not like.
And I also love how Willem Dafoe is playing this scene. Bloody fingers on his gloves, and he's touching the back of his head, and they're all looking at him like,
yeah.
And he's like, what about 2 guys, one shooter, 2 guys? And he's like, that's a possibility, but the angles are too extreme. The silence or the burn marks indicate they had silencers. The bullets crisscrossed through the skull and came out the eyes. And he's like, a guy holding 2 guns to the back of your noodle is not going to cock, or is going to point straight ahead. He's not going to cock his arms out. And besides, you're telling me that one guy came in here and killed 9 armed men? No, had to be at least 2. So then you go back to the brothers crawling through the freaking whatchamacallits?
The ductwork, like the vents.
Yeah, the ductways, the vents, the vent work. And they're arguing with each other. It's like, I'm not the Charlie Bronson wannabe. Getting fucking lost. He's like, just fucking shut it. Yeah. And then he smacks him in the light. They start fighting, and they burst through the damn ceiling while the head Russian's giving a freaking speech. And then they kill them, and then they recite the prayer. Now, this is a beautiful prayer, folks, to give it out. And shepherds we shall be for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand, so our feet may swiftly carry out our command, or thy command. And we shall flow a river forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be. In numine Patria Filii Spiritus Sancti, and then they pop the trigger. And then you hear the father again during them placing the pennies. And let's see here. I have that one here too. And I shall count thee among my favorite sheep, and you shall have all the protection of the angels in heaven, or have the protection of all the angels in heaven. basically showing that these brothers, well, they may just be slightly protected in a way, you know? Who knows? Later on, we actually understand how they are protected.
Mm-hmm.
Now, then Rocco shows up, but you also, the back and forths with freaking Defoe. Television. He's looking up at the hole in the ceiling. Television's the answer for this. You get this on bad television. Couple of salt guys crawl their way through that James Bond shit doesn't work in real life. Professionals don't do that.
And even the brothers bring up like TV after like you know the whole scenario goes down. There's like you always have that one that dives over the sofa. I'm like, yeah, you gotta shoot
and
him.
then you have to shoot him for 30 fucking minutes too. And then they find the thing full of cash, and then they get a knock on the door, and it's Rocco, and it's like this must be his big break. And so they pull Rocco in, thinking that, or making him think that they're going to kill him. Where's your gun? And it's a 6-shooter. And he's like, it's a fucking 6-shooter. There's 9 bodies, genius. What the fuck were you going to do? Laugh the other 3 to death? Funny man.
Yeah.
And then they pull off their masks, and he's like, what the fucking how the fuck did you do fucking fuck? Well, certainly illustrates the diversity of the word.
Yeah, I know.
Back when the word diversity was not a freaking cringe word, you know?
Yeah.
Now, they actually do have an extended version of that where Rocco comes up and he's like, what the fuck are you two? And then they smack him, and he's like, pull yourself together, man. Yeah, pull yourself together, man. And smacks him, and the other brother smacks him. It's just great shit. So
yeah.
Then Smecker's talking to the detectives. He's like, these are all Russian mob. Heavy hitters, and not like the low lives in the alley. These are all bosses and underbosses. I have a dossier on every man in this room. And then he goes over the rivalry between the Italians and the Russians, and how the Russians are coming over here, but they're not welcome. So what we have here, gentlemen, might be the first international mob war. Unless I've totally missed something.
Which, yeah, he realizes he did.
Yeah, later on he will completely realize it. And so at Rocco's place, Rocco is getting the motive from the brothers. He's like, so whoever you think is evil. Yeah, pretty much. Don't you think that's kind of weird, a little psycho? You know what I think is psycho, Rock? It's decent men with loving families. They come home from work, they turn on the news. You want to know what they're seeing? They see rapists, murderers, child molesters. They're all getting out of prison. Mafiosos getting caught with 20 kilos, getting out on bail the same fucking day. And everybody's talking about it, how somebody should just go and kill those motherfuckers. Kill them all. Admit it. Even you thought about it. And then he tells them, you two should be in every major city. Yeah. Basically, folks, this was at a time where, well, kind of like now, crime was on a rise in 99 and 2000 in the area. Crime was hitting and spiking in certain areas. And people were kind of getting sick of how these people were always getting off.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, yeah, vigilantism. Batman, I believe, did have a spike in sales in 99. But that's something for Lethal to investigate. But, yeah, basically, they're saying, I'm so sick and tired of these lowlives getting out. And one of these guys, or I'm just waiting for one of these guys to get me. So then they have these little, nice little montage of them drinking, and Rocco's blowing smoke at his girlfriend's cat, and how they went over each other and shooting each other, or shot the Russians. And then he's like, you guys ruined me. Permanent fucking package, boy. Well, you can actually take credit for that. I mean, it's the only thing you can do, really. I mean, yeah, climb the corporate ladder, boy. Don Rocco. And so he's like, you know what? Yeah, they're fucking me, man. They can suck my... This is a great line. They can suck my pathetic little dick, and I'll dip my nuts in marinara sauce just so those rat bastards can have a taste of home while they're at it. And then he's like, I'm doing it. It is done. And he smacks his hand against the table, and the gun goes off and splatters the fucking cat all across the wall. And they freak out. obviously, a gun just went off, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "Oh my god, man!" What? And then they see the guts all over the wall. I can't believe that just fucking happened. Is it dead? Rocco's like, "Is it dead?" Dude, you just literally splattered a cat all across the wall. It's dead. So then the next day, they're all hungover and shit, so they go out. And Connor tries to reason with Rocco. He's like, "Look, there's something that's been bothering me since last night. What if your boss knew how many people were going to be there? Think about it. 9 guys, 6 bullets. You think they sold me on, man?" And so they get into an argument about it. And Connor's telling them the logical things. It's like, there's no in-depth investigation. It'll slide off. Shooter's dead at the scene. It'll slide off his back.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, "I appreciate your concern, but that's not how it goes." And they also talk about how his girlfriend hasn't been around, so she's not going to miss the cat. Which then the girlfriend comes home. Oh my god. Seriously? Yeah. Currently live on YouTube. Now, turning volume down because people just don't know when to shut their freaking mouths. And notifications off. Everything good. All freaking good. Thank you. No more interruptions. Where was I? All right. So Rocco goes off and he's like, "I'll be back at 9. Bury the fucking cat." And then you hear Rocco call. He's like, "Anybody call for me?" "No, dude, you all right?" "I'm fucking fine. I'll catch you on the flip side." And then his girlfriend and her friend comes in. Folks, this is the craziest shit ever. Rocco then comes in like an hour or two later while they're cleaning their guns and stuff. "Pack your shit! Pack your shit! We gotta get the hell out of here!" And his girlfriend's like, "Rocco! Rocco! Rocco! What? Where's my cat?" And he realizes right then his girlfriend is there. "I killed your cat, you druggy bitch. Why? I thought it would bring closure to our relationship. You killed your what?" She can't even remember her damn cat's name. She's so drugged up. And so he pulls his gun. He's like, "I will shoot myself in the head. You tell me that cat's name. Go ahead, honey. Your precious little..." And then they finally remember the cat's name. Skibby. "What color was it, bitch?" So our friend tries being all tough. "Don't you yell at him like that, you prick." Now, folks, I have a GIF that Mara and the others have seen. That I make GIFs on Giphy. And it's like, he just pulls his gun. He's like, "Shut your fat ass, Ravi." She's crying that the gun's in her face. "I can't buy a pack of smokes without running into 9 guys, you fucked." Best line of Rocco in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
That is just the best line. No offense to women out there. But anyway, so they all get out, leaving the 2 women. He's like, "Rocco, are you sure nobody's seen you? Or you sure they're dead? Goddamn right, dead. Goddamn turkey shoot over there." And he shot up a deli, the Lakeview Deli.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes in, and the 2 little peon guys are like, "I thought it was a test." And Vincenzo came in here talking about how you were dead and whatnot, and they all think that it was a test. And he's like, "What, did everybody know? Next thing you'll tell me, Sal is in on it." And Sal is the bartender, or the tender to the tab and whatnot. And so he blows those 2 guys away, and then he goes up. He's like, "That was pretty fucking funny." And then he shoots him and empties his gun, and then he just beats feet out there. He's like, "You might as well have been posting flyers, man."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then Rocco basically becomes their setup guy for setting up all the jobs. Because
they realize in the car, he's like, because
he knows everybody.
Yeah,
he's connected with everybody.
Yeah.
And so they plan to drop the guy that set him up, and they're at the next scene, which is the we'll just call it a lounge, shall we? And I love how they go in, and Rocco has a mask, and he's like, "Rocco, are you sure about And then he started laughing. What you guys got, man? You look like Mushmouth from Fat Albert. And he's like, put it on, man. No, fuck it. No, put it on, man. You look fucking scary, man. I just love how Sean Patrick Flanery says that. You look fucking scary, man. And so he's like,
are you sure you're OBKB?
and they go in. And so then the cops are doing their investigation there, and they see the titty dancer crying and whatnot. And they're like, she saw it all go down. Can she ID them? No, they were wearing masks. How many were there? 3 shooters. Or 3. 2 of them did the shooting. And you see Rocco's like, scream, you're dead. Now, which one is he in? Don't make like you don't know who the fuck I'm talking about. And then you get freaking Ron Jeremy watching porn instead of watching the titty dancer. But anyway, he's doing his little fireman time. And he's like, oh, this is one sick motherfucker. So they drop iron into him. And they're like, and you see Willem Dafoe playing with the feller boa going over it. And then you got the other 2 guys that come in, and Rocco, and while the brothers are setting up Vincenzo, you see Rocco groping this woman's breast. And it's like the biggest titty shot ever, folks. Like I said, it is the biggest freaking titty shot ever. And he's just groping, and then Connor's like, what the fuck are you doing? Now, a lot of people miss Rocco's line because they're already laughing at what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And what he comes up, he's like, I'll tip her. It's because people laugh so much, they miss that line. And he's like, oh, you got to let me do these 2 guys. I got to make up for that tit thing. Because 2 other guys come in and they realize that they're also street walking skull. And he's like, this is the real deal, Rock. Evil men, dead men. And so he wastes them, and then he crosses the bullets, and they're like, we got a bullet, or Kennedy assassination style bullet theory here. And why the crossover? Then it starts driving Smecker nuts. And they can't think, so they let Smecker hears that they were at another scene. He's like, why wasn't I told about this? They were unrelated. Guy used to 38. No pennies, complete amateur. Who are the victims? Couple of mob peons and a fat fuck bartender. Oh my God. All the city's lowlifers dropping dead, and you think it's unrelated. Greenleaf, the day I want the Boston PD to do my thinking for me, I'll have a fucking tag on my toe. I love how he goes off on him. And then he figures it out as he's leaving. He's like, looks like we got ourselves a cowboy. Yeah. And so each scene, you also get a little news clip where this Sally McBride woman is reporting on how there's no doubt that all the killers or victims have been criminals, and that's probably why there isn't a public outcry for these crimes to stop. Now, then we get to the deli. Or hold on. Was that the scene after?
Yeah, like the deli scene is after Smecker figures it out, because what he figures out is that, because he describes it as good shooting, shitty shooting.
Shitty shooting, yeah.
And then he figures out like there was the reason why it was crossed is because Rocco crosses his arms.
Mm-hmm.
That's why bullets from the different guns end up in like the different rooms.
Yeah, Wyatt fucking her.
Yeah. Which is like, again, like, it's like Smecker will say something like, we got a cowboy here, and then you have Rocco saying Wyatt fucking Earp. It's kind of like the TV thing, where it all ties in together with the dialogue.
Mm-hmm. And then, because his right-hand man has just been whacked, Jacobetta, Rocco's boss, goes to a blind informant who is retired. And he's like, Augustus, I'm not screwing around. I need Il Duce. And then they show the Hogue. Now, obviously, they can't film inside of an actual prison. So they use a warehouse to film this shot. And they're pulling out a guy. They have him on chains. They're dragging him on a rolling, like a plate kind of thing. And shotguns to his head, everything, folks. This basically lets you know that this guy is one bad dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Billy Connolly, the comedian. But his makeup is done so well. His demeanor in the scene is so well that you think, I can believe that this man has probably killed thousands of people. The way that he just looks is so freaking... They even put a freaking birdcage over this dude as he's awaiting his damn parole. And the guy's telling him, we used him like 3 times in 20 years. He had a thing for clipping wise guys, but only one rule: no women, no children. And there's only one problem: he's been in the camp for 30 years. Don't know if he's even alive or even if he's up to it. And so they call him in, and he gets his parole granted. And what was that?
Sorry, I was like, fuck. I was brushing something off my computer, and I ended up opening up a tab. So that was like my finger. Sorry.
That's okay. So then Rocco sets up the next hit, which is a professional hitter. And before the thing we see, or he's like, worst day of my life, man. This dude whacks a whole family, burns them, and Rocco had to watch and everything. And it's like, oh, damn, dude. So then we get to the scene where the FBI, or where Smecker's going through it. And Smecker gets goes completely disheveled throughout this entire thing. And there was David Della Rocca wanted to do a scene with Smecker, even though it's not really scripted. So they had where Smecker's going through the scene, and David Della Rocca, he's the one that drops down to do the shooting and whatnot. And you show Smecker doing the shooting with him, which was a nice little touch. It shows that Duffy really did think through this whole thing. So he's going through, and the scene is just chaotic, man. He's like, panic, desperation, anger. And then they show the whole shooting, and he's like, something went wrong right here. How the heck did he know that something went wrong, you know? Even Duffy actually says that. He's like, how he figures that out, I have no idea. So then they show Rocco freaking out because he couldn't, or the guy's not here, and he's like, so they find out that he's in the bathroom taking a shit while everybody at his poker game is getting shot up. And so then Rocco ends up getting choked by him, and Connor pulls his brother off of him. He's like, he's going to get killed. It was your idea to bring him in. Now's your chance, Rock. Do it. And Rock's getting... So another guy's getting up, and you see Sean Patrick Flannery pop him, catch that shot where he catches the shell and then crosses himself. That's a nice little shot there. What did you think of the scene leading up to the firefight between El Duce and the Saints?
Well, it's just like what you said. It's like what you're noticing, how disheveled and how do I put this? Uncomposed Willem Dafoe becomes throughout like the entire explanation. Because it begins with like, you know, he's like, because this is like the only time in the movie where it's like when he's explaining it, it's like kind of as it's happening. Yeah. Versus like a flashback and you see it happening. So he's sitting with them in the van, and he's composed there. He's saying they wait for the kid to leave because they wait, so they're not doing it in front of his son, and they go into the garage because the kid says he always leaves it open whenever he takes his bike out. So that's their way in. They figure out, based on what happens to the wife, how she must have been knocked out with a stun gun after she puts the code in, because the door can only be opened from the inside. So brothers had to wait to open the door. And the bad guys did it just because they knew someone else was coming. So they weren't expecting the brothers and Rocco to be there. And it just progresses to the point where Willem Dafoe gets to what he believes is an ambush of 6 guys with guns.
And he's fully disheveled at this point, too.
He's fully disheveled. He's firing his gun in the air. He's saying the iconic line, "There was a firefight," and like you're seeing all this happen, and like I said, he believes it's 6 guys because it's 6 guns. And Greenlee, this is where I love Greenlee, or one of them is like, what about one guy with 6 guns? Where he's actually fucking right.
Yeah, Greenlee's right. He's like, why don't you let me do the thinking, huh, genius?
Yes.
Now, when Il Duce is firing on these guys, or his own sons, they don't know that they're related at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And the brothers get hit. One gets hit in the arm, the other gets hit in the leg, and Rocco gets his finger shot off.
Mm-hmm.
And they're freaking out on Rock. They're like, I know you know who he is, Rocco, so don't even fucking sorry. He's like, fuck you, I told you I never saw him before. He's like, well, he sure as fuck knew you. And the thing is, that's who Il Duce was sent after, Rocco.
Yeah.
He didn't care about the other two, but the other two were just there. So yeah.
And
now the scene.
There's like was it before or after this scene where it's like Willem Dafoe realizes that like they can't use the blood sample because the brothers are smart enough to.
It was during that scene. It was right after the thinking, or why don't you let me do my thinking, huh, genius?
Yeah.
He's like, hey, what's taking so long with those blood samples? There's a variable here that I'm not seeing. So he's like, they used ammonia. So he starts freaking out. He's like, I never seen anything like this in my fucking life. Where the fuck are they? And then he finds the finger.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just walks out like it's like a walk of shame.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're all looking at him like, okay, what the hell just happened? So then they have the iron scene where they have to iron his finger. They have to iron Connor's leg and Murphy's arm. Mm-hmm. And you could tell that this is painful for each of them and I'm not just talking physically, but emotionally painful as well, because it's like, you don't want to put your brother through this kind of stuff, but you have to, because you can't exactly go to a hospital. These are 3 amateur assassins here. They're already
to cauterize the wounds, because there's like no way that they could, like, basically there's no way they could go to the hospital and explain why they need stitches. So.
Yeah, it's like, I got shot. Hey, I got my shot, or my pinky freaking shot off. So then they go to the church, folks. This early church shit's gotta go. We're on the lam now. And so, oh my God, Rocco freaking holds a goddamn priest hostage.
Yeah, because
Smecker figured it, or used the finger, figured out was David Della Rocco, who has the funniest damn mugshot ever of a dude holding up his hair, which comes to play in the second movie. But he's like, that's all wrong. David Della Rocco, I missed it.
Yeah.
And he's getting drunk at a gay bar. And he's like, or the guy, or the bartender's like, hey, Paul, you had a lot. Just pour the drink, you fairy fuck. And every gay guy looks in on him. He's like, what? I smell you. It's he's totally walk ashamed out of there, walks into a church, goes into a confessional, and just sleeps it off. And the priest sees it, so he goes in, and Connor sees freaking Rocco pull the gun on the priest, and so he's like, let him go or I'll send you right fucking now.
Yeah, because Rocco wants to take out Smecker because Rocco thinks Smecker will be a liability, and the brothers, like in the scene prior to, like, he's not to be touched. He's a good man.
Yep.
Like, don't touch him. So Rocco, being Rocco, goes into the confessional with the priest, and his intention is to kill Smecker. But Connor sees Rocco, so he goes into the other confessional, kind of behind him, cuts I don't know what it is, but whatever, like the
mesh,
the mesh, reaches through, grabs his hair, pulls him back through, and he's like, I will end you right here. You touch him.
Yep. Because Rocco is basically doing the hugest taboo of the brothers. It's like, you don't fucking kill a priest, dude. And so,
you don't kill a priest, or you don't threaten a priest. You don't do it in a church.
Yeah.
And so you have basically Rocco holding the priest while his head's being pulled back through the other window, and Connor is has a gun to his head while Smecker is giving his little confession. So Smecker is unaware entirely of what's going on.
Yeah, because he's still hungover, drunk, and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he's like, and they even have a deleted extended version of that where he's like, by the dogma of this place, I should burst into flames in this booth right now. But he's like, so he's basically tells him, he's like, why do you come into church or church for counsel if you're not religious? It's ethics. I'm a man who's supposed to uphold the law, and these guys had or fix the situation with an iron fist as if they had God's permission. And I feel that what they are doing is necessary. I feel that it is right. And he's mocking it and whatnot, and then he's like, I just needed to hear you say it. Thank you, Father. I will help them. So basically, Smecker, in a drunken realization, decides that he's going to help out the brothers instead. They flip Smecker. And so they called Smecker using his card, and he's like, this guy, or what, you're telling me it was one guy with 6 guns and he was a senior freaking citizen?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're thinking about going off to New York after they hit Yakavetta at his own home. And you see freaking Murphy playing with Rocco, smacking his finger or his bandaged finger, and he's like, fuck, man. And he's like, still feels like it's still there. Yeah, well, it's not. So then Smecker goes to the blind informant, and he finds out that every shooter is up at Yakovetta's place waiting for Rocco to turn up. He's scared of the kid. That's why he brought in the Duke. The Duke's a fucking Houdini. He pulls a disappearing act. And I don't know what's going on. All I know it has something to do with this kid. So he realizes that the boys are about to walk into an ambush. And they did. And this scene is one, I shed tears at this scene where Rocco bites it. Because they're all down in a basement getting their asses beat and whatnot. And you see Augustus loading his gun. The slow motion where he just throws the cylinder into the pistol and walks down there. Now, folks, I know some guns here and there. That one, I believe, is a 45. But I've also seen frickin' 22s with that size and shape. But anyway, so he shoots off Rocco's other finger. But the thing is, when they pull up his finger to shoot it off, he's pointing it directly, or if that bullet fires, a 45 goes through that finger, he would have taken out Connor or Flannery's character. But movie magic, it didn't work out that way. So that's why I'm like, 22 or 45, dude, because it was 45 Connor's or Flannery's dead. But anyway, he's like, okay, there's one thing to do. So then he shoots Rocco completely through the chest, and then I'm like, okay, that's a 45. It went straight through him. And through the chair, too. So Rocco basically tells him in his dying breath, you get out of here, you don't stop. You can't stop. Don't ever stop. And the heartbreak of Connor and Murphy, I mean, Connor is just freaking crying his eyes out, and he's like, and Murphy's right down next to him. He's like, I'm going to kill every single one of them.
Yeah.
And then we get freaking Willem Dafoe cross-dressing.
Yeah, drag.
Yeah, drag, dude. Joey Bevo set me over for entertainment. He committed to this role, folks. I mean, he goes full tongue with this dude that he kisses. And then I'm like, yikes, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. And then they're in the bathroom. His wig comes off, and the guy's like, holy shit. So he kicks him in the nuts a couple of times. And when he pulls the silencer and comes up to shoot him, his lips flapping like that. I'm like, that's just both creepy and funny at the same time.
Well, yeah, and it's like, and the guy that who answers the door, who says that Joey Bevo always signs us like Primo box.
Yeah.
And he says, nice. And then when he takes Willem Dafoe in, or like he thinks it's the lady, and says to the other mafia guys, like, I haven't been late in a week. And I'm like, how desperate do you have to be?
I know, right?
I'm looking at it's like Willem Dafoe and drag, and he's not even what we considered an handsome.
Not even convincing. It's not even convincing.
No, and like, how, like, you are desperate. Okay.
I mean, so then he gets it on. And he's like, it's on now. But that has a double meaning. Because first off, he says too far, realizing he just stepped too far out of his jurisdiction, and he just went too far professionally. And And then he's saying it's on now. And first he's talking about the wig, but then he's like, it's on now.
Yeah.
So he's about to go vigilante himself, kills one guy, and then finds another guy with his throat slit.
Mm-hmm.
And the brothers had to break Murphy's hand so that he could pull out of the cuff. And then he kills another guy. And El Duce knocks out.
And that's what saves Willem Dafoe, because El Duce,
the fact that he looked like a woman.
He has no women, no children, and he hits him, and El Duce hits him from behind. So that's what saves Willem Dafoe. So again, like it all, like Troy Duffy paid attention to every detail.
Oh yeah. And then we get to the most beautiful scene being they're laying the pennies on Rocco's face, and then they start doing their prayer. And El Duce is ready to blast them both. But then he hears the prayer and he's like, and he starts putting his guns away, but they hear the hammer go back on one of his pistols, and they pull on him, and he finishes the prayer for him, and letting them know, okay, this is somebody who should be close to us if they know that prayer. And it's basically understood without words. This is our father, and these are these are my sons, and this guy's our father, and whatnot. So then they jump to 3 months ahead with Jacovetta, because Jacovetta left the house so that he could have plausible deniability. And we get the brothers and the father. Smecker's helping them, as is Dolly Duffy and Greenlee. They infiltrate the courthouse, put Jacovetta on his knees, and the speech that they give is just great, man. And I actually have it written out for the stream, where they set up, or they got Jacovetta on his knees, and the brothers basically are ready to do their thing. But you also hear El Duce, he's like, you people have been chosen to reveal our existence to the world. You will witness what happens here today, and you will tell of it later. And then all eyes to the front. And there's that there's that 20-something girl praying, and then you see El Duce come up to her. He's like, you must watch, dear. It'll all be over soon. And that is a nice little butterfly tattoo on his hand, too. It's simple, but it's so nice. But anyway, now you will receive us. We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. We do not want your tired and sick. It is your corrupt we claim. It is the brothers both saying each of this in turn. It is your evil that will be sought by us. With every breath we shall hunt them down. Each day we will spill their blood till it rains down from the skies. Do not kill, do not rape, do not steal. These are principles of which every man of every faith can embrace. These are not polite suggestions. These are codes of behavior, and those of you that ignore them will pay the dearest cost. There are varying degrees of evil. We urge you lesser forms of filth, not to push the bounds and cross over into true corruption into our domain. For if you do, one day you will look behind you and you will see we three, and on that day you will reap it, and we will send you to whatever God you wish. I mean, I'm like, this is all well and good, but oh my God, in today's society, this would be a terrorist action, which even back then it was a terrorist action, technically in lawful terms. And then they drop Jacovetta on his knees, all three of them, shotgun, 2 silencers, Veritas and Equitas on the hands. And Smecker is looking in on this with both awe and horror on his face. And when they finally pull the trigger, you hear him, or you see him close his eyes like, oh my God, what have I unleashed? What have I just let happen? And then everybody leaves, and you see the girl who was told to watch. She's like, yes, I was there. And you see the brothers in a hotel with their dad. How far are we going to take this? The question is not how far. The question is, do you have the constitution, the depths of faith to take it as far as needed? And then we get the media who asks people, do you agree with what they did? Or what do you guys all think? And it's pretty much split down the middle. You got people very enthusiastic about supporting the Saints and what they did. You have others saying that they're nuts, that they're only doing it for attention. And you also have a lot of no comments.
Yeah.
And one of the women, the one that walks away, the brunette, that's actually Troy Duffy's ex-wife.
Okay.
She's like, I don't really feel like talking about that. It's like, wow. But yeah, and that actually leads to the ending of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And out of objectively speaking, meaning without our bias, because we both obviously love this movie a lot, what would you give it objectively, basing it on movie merit alone?
Movie merit alone?
Yeah.
Actually, and this is without bias, I'm being honest here, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Because while there are technical mistakes, like for example, like and I don't fault them entirely because they are minor. Like when they're putting the pennies on the one guy's Russian's eyes in the
he blinks
the hotel scene, you can see the pennies move because he's like you tell the guy like obviously he's not dead because they can't really kill him in the scene, but at the same time you still see the pennies move. But you'd have to be kind of looking for those things. But what I love about this movie is, in spite of the gore, is like I mentioned throughout the stream, and that is Troy Duffy pays attention to every detail in the dialogue and how the scenes are set up. So like what you think is minor actually plays an important detail later. Like for example, the rule for El Duce: no women, no children. Willem Dafoe happened to be dressed like a woman. That saved him. So like everything ties together. Like nothing is like just no line or whatever of dialogue is just thrown out there just for the sake of it. It all weaves together into one story. So objectively, like even with the technical errors, and I am kind of like my mom. I'm like, I'm not wild about the cat scene. I get the scenario. I get like it was an accident and things like that. But objectively, even honestly, well, maybe might bump it down like a 7.5 out of 10, but it'd be close. Like just objectively, I love the storytelling.
Same here with me. It's objectively, it is about a 7.5 to 8 out of 10, or objectively. Subjectively, it's a 9 out of 10. I really love the premise of the story. I really love the story itself, and honestly, yes, that I do kind of have a soft spot for vigilantism films, because honestly, I do see a lot of crap out there that does, in my own eyes, go very much. People are getting away with a little too much. And moviegoer, where it's not breaking down the film, as we all know, I do 3-tier reviews. Moviegoer, it's 10 out of 10. This movie is unapologetically action, gore, violence. You basically go in. This is a movie that you go in, you watch just to get your freaking violent rocks off. Because
like you're touching on the second movie where like Murphy has like, let's do some gratuitous violence. Like that basically sums up.
That is, it's like, are you ready for this shit, my dear brother? Cocks the gun. Let's do some gratuitous violence. That's basically, And I actually did see one of the Rotten Tomatoes things for this movie, and it's like, it's a one, because most of them are rotten. Oh, a nice one. Okay, Troy Duffy made an unapologetically gruesome and violent movie. That's all it was meant to be. I'm like, there you go. That is what this movie is. It's not meant to be it's not a political messaging movie. It's not any of that bullshit. This is completely just, now, there are some people who would take that deleted scene and be like, oh my God, they had it. No. They did it basically to call out the political correct bullshit. This is not woke by any measure.
No, and the only thing like that it would touch even remotely on like political would be like the last shots where they're interviewing the people on the streets. Like, do you agree with them or do you disagree with them? Like that's where it like even remotely touches on political. And even then it's like it's like what you expect in this scenario where they're interviewing the residents and like, do you side with the Saints or not kind of a situation. So
And there's one woman, she's like so enthusiastic. She's like, kill them all, kill them all.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm
like,
like, oh my God, man. Yep. And then you have they have a couple where a couple of friends are arguing about it. She's like, don't say that, your mom could be watching. And I'm like, oh
yeah.
my God.
And even the
It's
guys
just-
are like, it's like, they're only killing bad people. Like, listen to yourself. And he's like,
It's
they're
like,
arguing.
yeah, they're only killing bad people.
Yeah.
But
So-
anyway, folks, we are getting to the 90-minute mark, and I do got to go in like 5 minutes. But I do want to give a big thank you to Jade Shadow, for joining me on this one. I knew she would want to, or I knew she would either be definitely tuning in, but I was like, why don't we actually bring people in? And which reminds me, I did do a poll for, do you guys want me to bring in more people for more mystery reviews? And I'm pretty sure we got an emphatic yes. So let me just check that. MY. There we go. So checking to see how that went down. I also do want to thank all my viewers today who tuned in. What would you guys rate it if you're still here? Because I know that there's 3 people. Out of 10, what would you rate Boondock Saints if you have seen it?
I just, yeah, like, I know, like, we're not, like, getting to the second movie, but even the second movie, while it's, I think, like, an objectively kind of a little bit of a step down from the first one, a little bit of a step down. Most of, I guess, like, my one major criticism of that movie is, like, you cannot convince me at all in the slightest that Judd Nelson is Yakovetta's son. No.
I know, right?
I got
the
no
dude is basically that guy's age almost.
Yeah, I'm like, no stretch of the imagination is going to make me believe that he's the son of Yakovetta. Nice try, though.
So, yeah, we got 13 votes this time, and it's all yes. So, yeah, I will work on getting other people into each review. Next week is not going to have a mystery review because I am going to be busy that week doing more dumpster work. We're clearing out this big old house to get rid of any of the excess stuff that we don't need. And this Friday, there's not going to be a stream because I am going to Buffalo for my family get-together and celebration of life for my uncle who recently passed. So the week, or I believe next week, Friday, will have a stream. It will be continuing with Terminator 3. So definitely stay tuned for that one, folks. But mystery reviews will be put off until the week after. Once everything is more stable and I'm not overly or not having to do a lot of work and whatnot, I will get back to a more stable way of doing things. But right now there's a lot of hectic stuff going on. So I'm going to have to cut back a little bit, but definitely keep subscribed, and yeah, I will be getting back into it. But anyway, thank you, Mara, for joining.
Oh yeah, I always love talking about these movies.
Indeed. The next mystery review, like I said, it's going to be a couple weeks. I will probably drop a couple hints as I think about it, or the closer we get. So thank you all for tuning in. This has been Orange Hat Reviews and Mara. And I'll see y'all next time. And until then, stay humble, folks.
Good night.